region. With me today, I have Rashad Parker, who is my counterpart. Rashad covers the West Coast and Mountain, pretty much west of the Mississippi, and then I have east of the Mississippi. With us today, we have Gina Hartman. Gina will be presenting for about half the demo or half the presentation. She is our Director of Professional Services at PowerSchool. And then we also have Ryan Imbriale, who will be presenting the other part. Ryan is our Vice President of Education Solutions, and we'll be going over some of the background on the ESSER funding and other funding sources. So over the next 90 minutes, these are three key takeaways we are hoping that you'll get from this presentation. Again, more information on federal funding, because I know there's a lot of information out there, and it's kind of like, where do I go? What's valuable, what's helpful? So Ryan will be talking to that. Gina will outline Schoology professional development and continued learning information, as well as just continued professional learning in PowerSchool in general, not just on the Schoology side, but everything PowerSchool products. And then Rashad and I, or myself, will cover some professional development training packages that we've put together for Schoology specifically to really help transition into this school year and then moving forward. So with that being said, I will pass it, or Ryan, we'll go ahead and let you do your presentation, and we'll kick it off from there.
Hi, everyone. Well, really excited to join you for just a few minutes this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are. It's noon here on the East Coast. You know, I have to admit I'm kind of a geek about the federal funding stuff, because it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And so part of the work that I do at PowerSchool on the Education Solutions team is to help districts unpack this if they need assistance with that, to look at what's happening in individual states, how the timelines are rolling out, and what that picture looks like. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I have some slides that I think are really helpful from a visual standpoint around the different buckets of funding. We'll talk about just in general, the COVID relief legislation, the 15 allowable areas, and then a little bit about the key funding allocation deadlines and disbursement. And then we'll turn it over to Gina, who will really talk about what I'm sure everyone's here to hear about, and that's all the amazing opportunities when it comes to professional development. So Lucas, you can go right to the next slide here. When I talk about those favorite slides, this one has built over the course of the last now almost 16 months. You know, we started, this slide would have looked very different. 16 months ago, would have had a small circle, and it would just have said CARES Act. And naturally, what has happened over this process during this pandemic is the federal government has continued to pump once-in-a-lifetime funding into school districts across the nation, and it's funding that is really significant. And this last bucket, that biggest circle on this slide, is the one that sort of took everyone's breath away when it comes to the amount of money that was pumped in, because it equals over top of what the first two buckets were. So really, we're dealing with three big buckets. We've got the CARES Act, CRRSAA, which is the second ESSER, ESSER 2, as most people refer to it. And then you have this big ESSER 3 bucket, which is the ARP, the American Rescue Plan, $122 billion. A lot of money also for higher ed, and gear money as well that's going to the governor's office, except for the third bucket where the governors across the country didn't get that money. Governors have money in the other two buckets. So lots of money to deal with, lots of different timelines to play around with. And so Lucas, if you could go to the next slide. This one, probably one of my favorite images, because I think it shows the complexity of everything that you all in school districts are dealing with. Really, when you start at the bottom of this one, it's really about your school calendar and your calendar year across starting in 2020, going all the way to 2024. And then as we work our way up this slide from bottom up, you're really talking about the school calendar matched with state funding in your individual states and what that picture looks like against federal annual funding. So, you know, one of the things that is really important in this conversation is all of this ESSER funding, all three buckets, layers over top of are normal federal funds that are pumped into school districts. Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, Perkins, on and on. So that money is still there. And in the Biden-Harris administration, it looks like that money could actually grow larger coming out of this next round of funding. So you have ESSER funding, and then on top of that, especially when we look at Title I and Title II, that money could grow even more. And then on top of that, you have the 3 buckets of stimulus funding, and they each have different timelines. One of the things that's important to note is with the largest bucket, the $122 billion, it extends all the way out to October of 2024 for obligating those funds. That's significant because you're talking about an opportunity for districts to really think strategically about how to use these funds to make significant difference over multiple years and put in place processes and operations that can significantly make a difference out 5, 10, 15 years. Lucas, if you can go to the next slide. So a little bit about the ESSER allocations here. We go is really the bottom line is 90% of it in ESSER 1, 2, and 3 go out to school districts. 10% gets to be kept by the state education agency. And this is significant because it's more money than states have ever had in terms of actual dollars coming from the federal government that they can use at the state level to make an impact. The third pot of funds, the ARP funds that came out most recently, actually are continuing to roll out as we speak. There are some more restrictions against those funds when it comes to the state education agency. Things like specifics around learning loss, but it's terrible language. We throw around the words learning loss constantly. No one likes it. As a 25-year educator, it drives me insane. But just so everybody understands, it's the language that's actually written in the federal legislation. It says the words learning loss. And so that's why there is so much of that language that gets spun around over and over again. And then you have the forced funding for summer learning and the forced funding for after school programs that are part of this big bucket that came at the end. And so all of that then drives decisions that happen at the local level. This chart is already a little old. As you can see, it's dated April 28th, but we don't have an update yet that's fairly accurate. What we can tell you is you should have ESSER 1 funds in your hands as a school district that you can be doing something with. If you don't, there's an issue at the state education agency, and there's a few wrinkles across the country where that's happening. ESSER 2 still rolling out to districts. That's the $54 billion. And ESSER 3, much of that, at least at the beginning of May, was just getting released. And a matter of fact, states across the country had until June 7th to submit their plans to receive the other third of the money. But just like politics and bureaucracy works, not all the states submitted their plans by June 7th, and they've all asked for forgiveness. And so that last third of the money will roll out slower to districts across the country, but it's still significant. And there's a lot of opportunity, things like accelerating and sustaining a safe return to in-person instruction, work around the natural things like mitigation strategies, but also offering enrichment opportunities, summer learning, and professional development. And that's one of the things that I think we're going to then lead into when Gina talks about what we have to offer here at PowerSchool. Because Lucas, if you can go to the next slide, and one more, we don't need to touch on this one. Yep, keep going. Yeah, so the point about this slide is there are 15 categories that can be expended from with ESSER funds. And those 15 categories never changed. They're the same in ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3. So over the course of the 16 months, these large categories that you can use the funding for have not shifted. And it offers the opportunity to do work like figuring out how you're going to address hybrid learning, blended learning, bringing students back face to face, the professional learning needs of leaders, teachers, educators across a district or a school site, how you're going to handle solutions, software solutions that address things like analytic needs, that address things like learner management, whatever that might be. The professional learning, even through online delivery, all of that is available through these 15 categories, and it offers a tremendous amount of opportunity to use federal dollars to jumpstart work in a school district that can be sustaining, and it's exciting. So Lucas, I think I just want to go, we can skip this one too. This is my learning loss spin here. The big issue is learning loss is the language in the American Rescue Plan, in the CARES Act, and in all of these formalized federal funding documents. What it really means is dealing with the disparities that are occurring student by student and dealing with that on an individual student basis. What's happening with the student and family? What's happening from a tutoring standpoint? What are the mental health issues that need to be mitigated or addressed? And then what are the evidence-based interventions that can be put in place, used in something like a learning management system? And then what are the analytics that can come back to the teacher, to the building leader, to the school district staff to help paint a picture and then make decisions about next steps? So Lucas, I'm going to leave it at that. And then I will also put the COVID handbook links that this is actually volume 2. They actually just released a volume 3. So if anybody wants to be put to sleep, there is amazing reading from both COVID 1, 2, and 3 that came out from the U.S. Department of Education. So I'll put those links up here in the chat.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan.
You bet.
All right. Awesome. Well, let me get through that. So Ryan, thank you very much for that. All very helpful information. A lot of stuff I wasn't even aware of too. So thank you very much. And now we will jump over to the professional development side and continued learning information through Gina. So Gina, click on the next one.
Sounds great. Thanks, Lucas. So Lucas introduced me earlier at the beginning of the session, but again, I just want to tell you guys who I am. I'm one of the directors of our professional services team here at PowerSchool. So I specifically focus on Schoology and a different division we have called Proven Practices, which is high quality PD, not tied to a specific product or solution. And so good morning, everybody. So it's still the morning here where I am. I'm actually in the central time zone, so it might be the afternoon for you guys already, though. So Lucas is, pulled up a slide, and I like to use the slide as I start out to explain our professional development options here at PowerSchool. Because a lot of us just think about providing kind of what you see on the left, what is called solution training. So this is more if you're, when you started out using Schoology, kind of more of the how-to training, how to use the platform and the product, or if you're using any of the other PowerSchool products, Performance Matters, that would kind of fall in the solution training bucket. You work with our solution training team to learn the how-tos of the product. And so what I want to talk about today is kind of the big picture of it all, but I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about our continuing education offerings too. And so this kind of ties more into what I would consider high quality PD for educators, diving into pedagogy and really using the power of these digital tools, Schoology especially, to really, just transform teaching and learning. And so if you go to the next slide for me, I always like to talk about professional learning as a continuous learning process. And I would consider myself a big educational research geek. I love to look at the research and really use that to guide what we're doing here at PowerSchool. And so we know from the ed research that really professional development should be a continuous ongoing process. And so that's how we built our offerings here at PowerSchool and where we see the most success when we partner with districts over a longer period of time. So not just an individual workshop, learning how to use Schoology or some of our other products one time. And so what you're going to see really as talking about professional learning as a continuous process, the emerging level there on the left are more of those individual workshops that would fall in that solution training team that I talked about, okay? Kind of like Schoology 101, Schoology 201, where we really help you build up your team of district or internal leaders to help roll out in Schoology and just build capacity. So I'm actually kind of interested. I don't know everyone on the call today, but you guys might have already had that beginning piece, so as I'm explaining options today, I would just have you kind of reflect on where you currently are and what might be a good next step. A lot of districts like to come back and do that beginning piece with us year after year because they maybe have a new group of new teachers they just need help with to get up to speed, and we know educators are at all different levels. So as you kind of move over on the adopting and innovating, this is what falls more into that Schoology continuing education bucket that I'm going to tell you more about today and spend the most time. Because I think what's helpful for you guys as leaders in your district is really understanding the extent of what we offer here to build the best plan. And I'd encourage you guys to think of a multi-year professional development plan. That's really, again, what we know is effective from that ed research out there. So I'm going to pull up some specific information here in a little bit, talking about the adopting column. That's where we kind of work with cohorts. And actually, we work with PD cohorts at the innovating column. So the big difference between the adopting and innovating column, what I'm going to explain today, is it's more of a PD program or package and academy. So it's not an individual session. All right, so go ahead and flip to the next slide for me. Real quick before that's weird, click it.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it didn't show up.
Oh, there. Okay. Yeah. Like, that's weird. And I mentioned this a little bit already, but before I pull up a document and take a deep dive explaining some of our PD programs and academies, I just want to hit on the why. The why is important to me as an educator. Like, why is this important? And I mentioned that educational research is very clear for us. If you guys like to look at that and read about all that again, I like to do that. We know from tons of research in education that characteristics of professional development that have been proven effective is the PD must be sustained and ongoing. So not just a one-time workshop. It should be instructionally focused. Definitely be collaborative. That could be collaborative face-to-face using the power of digital tools. Modeling of effective practice. So that's what we love to do after people even know the basics of Schoology. We come in and we want to model high quality teaching and learning. Might be in a blended environment. So the adults we're working with are really experiencing it as a student. We reflect with them and challenge them to think about how they can take their new learning and apply that to their position. We just tie in active learning components. The ed research is clear about providing expert support and a coaching piece. So our programs tie that piece in, and then just always a feedback and reflection piece. And then just another bullet there, the research definitely shows that quality professional learning increases student achievement. And I have districts tell me all the time, Gina, it just definitely helps us with our supporting our teachers, the feedback we get from them, and just teacher retention. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, so I think this is where I'm going to pull up a different document and take control, Lucas, if you don't mind. Yep. And I'm going to walk them through some of our options that we have. Okay, so I think you guys should see my screen now.
Yep, you're good, Gina.
It's an infographic looking document. Okay, perfect.
Can you zoom in a little bit though for us?
Yep, I sure can. There we go. And Lucas, if you'll drop this document in the Zoom chat area so everybody has it, this will be handy for them.
Yep, I will.
So I'm going to walk you through this document. I've had some districts tell us in the past, Gina, you guys offer so much. We have actually an extensive course catalog for all of our Schoology offerings. It's about 40 pages. And I pulled together this one-page document that kind of gives you an overview, and that's what I'm going to provide today. So I'm going to start kind of over here in that emerging column, what I talked about. This is an interactive PDF. So you guys will have this now. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to give a really quick high-level summary. But you have this. You can feel free to review and read over all the information. So in the emerging column, This is more of those individual workshops, what I talked about. If I click here and learn more, which I actually already pulled up my other documents, so I'm just going to click to my different tab. You're going to see this is just some examples of some individual sessions that we offer. Okay, so if you feel like your district is more at the beginning stages, you really need more help to build up some of your internal experts to lead out PD. You need more of the beginning stuff, maybe introduction to assessments in Schoology, maybe working on, just getting familiar with the Google Microsoft integration. Then you might really want to consider the options in our emerging column on that infographic document I showed you. A lot of times you'll kind of see here, this is an example of like a district purchasing 8 remote hours, and just an example how they would break it up. Just one example. One thing I want to point out on this document, when you guys are kind of reviewing some of this information on your own, is at the bottom, we have a link to our course catalog. I'm just going to click on this and pull it up real quick. This is the Schoology Professional Learning Catalog. Let me increase that a little bit so it's easier for you guys to see. This is the document that I said is about 40 pages, okay? But we have an interactive table of contents, and you're going to see lots of individual sessions here that you can review on your own. So all of the core and supplemental sessions would kind of fall into that emerging column of professional learning that I was talking about. So kind of the Schoology 101 and 201. I'm just going to give you one example. So let's say your district has already done maybe some of the Schoology 101 sessions. One of our main ones is called Schoology for Master Instructors. Maybe you want us, as you're looking through here, you want us to come in and work with your curriculum team. Here's a session we have called Developing Curriculum Collaboratively. I'm just going to click on it and go to that area. It will give you in our course catalog just a description of, the session, the expected outcomes, and tell you how long that is. Well, this session is a full on-site day or up to 6 hours of instruction we can do virtually. So we can really do all of our sessions on-site or virtually based on what your needs are. So this is just an example of an individual session, again, if you want us to focus on working with a specific group. And again, that would kind of fall into that emerging column right here. Okay. There's one other thing I'm going to share with you that's in this emerging column before I move over to adapting and innovating. And that is something in the emerging column called a professional learning subscription. Sometimes our team gets asked, Gina, do you have any asynchronous PD options? Any PD that's self-paced, asynchronous, built-in Schoology, or just videos I can use and have my staff, my teachers watch on demand? We do. So this would give your district the ability to actually use some training videos that our team has that people in your district can watch on demand, have access to self-paced PD courses. They get access to people on our team to ask questions and things like that. So it's just a different kind of offering. And again, it kind of falls into that emerging bucket, more of those beginning levels, or, if you want to offer support to new teachers, if you've been using Schoology for years, that's a great option. So that's a quick summary of everything in the emerging level. I am keeping an eye on the chat area, and Lucas, if something comes through I don't see, you can let me know too, but
Yep,
feel free to drop any comments or questions in there if you have a question about anything that I'm explaining. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the adopting column. So the adopting column is a great next step after districts know the basics of Schoology. Okay, so my team, the Schoology continuing education team, loves to work with educators to take it to a deeper level after they know the basics. So I'm just going to kind of explain 3 options that we have in this column first. The first one is called what we call professional learning programs here. Basically, they're 4 to 6 week professional learning cohorts. So it's not just one-time workshop, one and done, okay? So the way it works, and I already clicked learn more. I actually have it pulled up right here. So I'm gonna just pull up that document. The way it works is our team will come in and work with a team of teacher leaders, people at the district level for a 4 to 6 week period and facilitate blended professional development, okay? And I'll go over the topics here in a second. So what I mean is this is sold as a package. So in each package, you get one on-site professional development day with our team, and you get some live Zoom sessions over that 4 to 6 week period, and some asynchronous self-paced PD sessions are built in each one. So the team that the group in your district's working with is really, again, experiencing blended learning using the power of Schoology as a student. And you'll just see this is great for districts if you want to focus on a specific topic. I always encourage districts, think about what's in your district. Your district are building school improvement plans, because we can definitely tie things that you're working towards in those improvement plans to ways you can use Schoology and the power of the digital tool you have. So for example, if you want to take a deeper dive with our team on designing, our assessment design workshop, we can take a deeper dive. If you want to take a deeper dive on developing and evaluating quality assessment questions, we can do that. We have a professional learning package that focus on gamified learning. This is really a next step. If you have a group of educators in your district that say they know the basics, they might be ready for the next level. Maybe they want to work with our team on what is gamified learning? What does it look like using the power of Schoology learning and really thinking about student engagement? We have a great one that a lot of districts like to do with us that is great on, we work with a group of elementary educators on using Schoology with younger learners. So this one focuses specifically on that. This one, strategies for Schoologizing your course content, is really kind of more high level instructional course design. We talk about some instructional design models and things like that. And this one I love. It's creating powerful partnerships. So it really looks at the different stakeholders that you work with, whether that be people in your building, parents, students, different people, and really using the different components of Schoology and the power of it to communicate and collaborate. So we take a deeper dive. We refer to a research-based model that was developed out of Harvard on working with different stakeholders using digital tools. And this one, I'm actually very passionate about. It's powerful professional learning in the digital age. It's really using the power of Schoology to design and deliver face-to-face, blended, or all online PD. And we actually, again, tie in research. We have a checklist all aligned to research, what we know is effective working with adults when designing PD, and challenge the group we're working with to think about that. We show them different examples of a PD developed in Schoology and things like that. We can also take a deep dive into the integration with Microsoft and Google with Schoology. So again, this is great for districts that want to focus on specific topics, like what I mentioned. PD Bites, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm just going to keep going.
Yep, you're good,
PD
Gina.
Bites.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. PD Bites we actually developed and released when the pandemic hit. Our team was getting asked, Gina, we need help immediately with blended learning, online learning, and really diving in deeper using Schoology. And so we had to also offer all virtual PD. So PD Bites, if you click here on Learn More, if you have this, I'm going to pull up my document for that. You will get this document that gives you an overview of it. Basically what we call our PD Bites path for digital learning. It can apply if you're in a blended learning environment, fully online environment, face-to-face environment using Schoology, things like that. It's a 5-week virtual PD package, okay? So all virtual PD, you'll kind of see on this document, week 1 is titled Best Practices for Digital Learning, and it's a 2-hour Zoom session. What my team does before we come in and we work with a group of people in your district is we send out what we call a Schoology skills kind of survey or self-assessment, because we want people coming in these programs after they know Schoology. So we're going to actually give them a survey, and we want to know, what do they know? How do they feel about it? What components are they using? That helps us customize the professional learning we're providing too. And then we customize this first session a lot. And then from there, the person at the district level who we're working with to plan this out and map dates out can actually select 4 different topics from out of 15 that you see listed here. So it's really an opportunity where you can build a custom PD plan for your district and select the topics that you think would be most beneficial. I'm going to give you just a quick example. This session 3 that we have titled Designing Dynamic Discussions to Engage Learners in Collaborative Conversations, we hit heavy on different communication tools in Schoology, okay? I think we all know online discussions is a great tool that can be used for communication and collaboration. We want people to already know how to build discussions. We're going to take that to a deeper level. We're going to make sure they know all the advanced bells and whistles of what you can do when doing that. But we're also going to talk about building quality discussions, okay? So how can you layer your questions, differentiate instruction? How can you build out questions when you are, I lost my train of thought for a second. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. How can you build out discussions to get students to deeper levels of collaboration and thinking? Okay, so we're really going to take it to a deeper level and dive deeper into the pedagogy. And again, you know, you'll see like topic number 10 listed here is planning for flipped instruction. We can talk about what does that look like in Schoology, things like that. This number 13 has been a pretty popular one since the pandemic hit. We have it titled Strategies for Meeting the Diverse Learning Needs of Students. This session is all about, you know, what is possible in Schoology. And then we pull in some other free digital tools that we know work in Schoology for, you know, meeting students' diverse learning needs, meeting, you know, further accommodations, modifications, things like that. So that's just a quick overview of PD Bites, all virtual PD, 5 weeks. We deliver it in a PD cohort. One thing that makes it really successful, my team working with a group over a longer period of time, is in between sessions, we challenge the people we're working with to apply their learning and let us know how's it going, what worked, what didn't work. We tie in that virtual coaching piece. And so they have an expert available to them at all times to ask those questions and just get the support they need. Okay, I'm looking at the question that came through and it says, does the web session, particularly the first one, have a limit to the number of teachers that can join? Great question. So for our PD packages and academies that I'm explaining, the way that PowerSchool prices them, it's priced as a package and it's per 15 people. So if I have a district that comes to me or Lucas or Rashad on the call here and says, we want to 60 people in our district through PD Bites, basically we would just put 4 PD Bites packages on that sales quote. So that is, everything I'm talking about in this adopting and innovating column is per 15 people. That's kind of how it's packaged and priced. Okay, so that's PD Bites. I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to keep going again. This is our newest offering that's on this document that I'm sharing. It's called the Digital Leadership Academy. And this is targeted to assistant principals and principals. You know, really, they're the instructional leaders. They should be the lead learners in the building. And so we love to take a deep dive with the administrators to get them to buy in, get them to understand, and really kind of just help build capacity and develop a plan for moving forward. So let me pull up that document. And again, you guys have access to all this. You can just click on those links on that PDF that Lucas shared. So the Digital Leadership Academy, this includes 7 sessions, okay? We know it's hard to get some time with administrators. So the way we have the format built is sessions 1 through 6 are 2-hour Zoom sessions, okay? So virtual. Administrators can connect from their building, things like that. You'll kind of see the different topics listed here. Session 7 is an on-site session, okay? And we have that titled as Planning and Continuous Improvement. That's going to take kind of all the learning, the collaboration from all the sessions in the academy, and we're going to pull it together at the end. And so what we want them to do is we want the administrators to develop an action plan for moving forward. You know, they can align, have discussions. They can align that action plan to their building or district improvement plans, you know, to state or national standards. So we're going to give them a lot to think about and kind of reflect on throughout the academy. I'll tell you just a little bit more about the sessions. Session 1 and 2, we take, we kind of need to set the stage and make sure everybody understands the functionality and kind of higher level of access that school administrators can have in Schoology. That higher level of access is called advisor access. So we make sure they understand that, how to monitor things, the reporting capabilities. That's kind of session 1 and 2. Session 3, you'll see is strengthening community and stakeholder relationships. So this is where we tie in, talk a lot about that home to school connection piece again. We refer to a research-based model that I mentioned before that came out of Harvard on working with different educational stakeholders. And we challenge them to think about how are they currently using Schoology, show them examples from districts around the United States, examples from our team, and then, you know, have them reflect and think about what they can do for and make plans for next steps. Session 5 and 6. This is really built to help provide some consistency and just give different ideas about, again, what's possible in Schoology. I hear quite a bit from districts, well, Gina, we have this X number of buildings in our district and the expectations, and it's just not consistent across the district. And so we really try to focus on providing consistency and facilitating those collaborative discussions with some administrators to get to where you're having consistency and kind of a plan for next steps. So that's just a quick example of our Digital Leadership Academy. Okay, I'm just gonna keep moving on to our innovating column. So this is our most extensive learning academy, okay? It is the biggest investment by your district, but it's also where we see the most success because my team of educators can come in and work with educators in your district for a longer period of time. So this is all aligned to the research. It's ongoing professional learning. It is aligned to the ISTE standards, the International Society for Technology and Education. And we even we submitted this to ISTE and we earned what's called the ISTE Seal of Alignment. It was really important for me to earn this. Just basically what it means is ISTE reviewed all of our academy, the alignment to their national standards, and awarded us what's called the Seal of Alignment. So I have a 5-page report. If your district uses ISTE and you want to review that, we can always pass that along. So let me tell you a little bit about this academy. So again, if I click learn more, which I think I have it pulled up, there we go. This is what you're going to see. This is just a document explaining the academy. So basically, the academy has 9 sessions, okay? The 9 sessions that you're seeing here. Again, we want people coming into this academy after they know the basics of Schoology because we're going to take it to a deeper level. A lot of districts have maybe teacher leaders. Maybe they select 1 or 2 teacher leaders from each building to go through the academy with us to help build capacity with experts in your building. And then those experts can turn around some of their new learning to other staff in the buildings using that train the trainer approach. You know, some districts put all of their curriculum and content people in this academy with us, or their professional development people. And then we challenge them to kind of think about using the power of this powerful learning management system when they're doing their curriculum work with people in the district, their professional development work and things like that. So we really have a mix of different roles and educators that go through this academy. Our recommended kind of duration for this academy is 9 months, okay? So if you think of a school year, kind of 9 months, we recommend let us work with the same cohort and team of people for the entire school year. And so typically if we do that, you'd schedule like 1 session a month. Sometimes districts say, Gina, we need to get it done in 7 months, and that's no problem. We're really flexible. We can do a couple sessions in a month. You're gonna see our model here and kind of our goals. Our goals of this academy, we want you to effectively utilize Schoology learning, this powerful tool your district has invested in. We want you to get the most out of it. We really focus on student-centered learning, okay? We really want to help you build capacity and keep things moving forward. I already mentioned it's aligned to the ISTE standards for educators. And anybody we work with, we want them to immediately apply their learning. You know, that goes back to the ed research, making sure it's relevant, that they can immediately apply their learning. And I hear that all the time, that they can. And we just want to empower them as educators. So what you're going to see on this document is just an overview kind of what I've explained. Well, out of the 9 sessions, again, it's in a blended PD format. So 3 out of 9 of those sessions are on-site face-to-face, where we will fly there, work with your team that you identify you want us to work with. 3 of the sessions are live Zoom sessions, 2-hour sessions. 3 of the sessions are asynchronous self-paced sessions. So again, the people we're working with are really experiencing blended learning. We're reflecting on it and challenging everyone to think about how they can tie that into their professional practice and their position. One thing I want to call out here again is with our packages, they get that virtual support and coaching piece versus just individual sessions that I talked about in that emerging column. They don't get that because it's an individual session. They're done working with someone. Okay. So we can tie in that expert support. They could have one-on-one support over the course of the entire school year. You'll see here global networking opportunities. We really model different things. And so one thing, again, we model is global networking and collaboration in Schoology. So when everybody gets to session 3, we have them join a Schoology group with educators around the United States that are all currently going through this academy. So in the group, as we're challenging them to design different digital lessons and activities, you know, we're encouraging them to share it in the Schoology group. So if we're working with a science teacher leader or some curriculum person in one state, they could potentially see and collaborate with educators in the academy in other states, which is exciting. Everybody likes that piece. Sometimes I get asked, Gina, do you guys have a certification program? And this is really our certification program where they become certified Schoology digital learning leaders. We have a digital badge, we have a certificate and things like that. And another thing we offer is we do offer graduate credit for this academy, and we can actually offer it for our other programs and academies too, if that's something that interests you. We partner with the University of Missouri. So I live outside of St. Louis, Missouri. So it's a university I've taught with for years too. But we partner with them, and there is a fee that has to be paid to the university, but it's an unbelievable price. If you paid for graduate credit anytime soon, the university charges $75 per credit hour, which is a great price. So that's the details about the Digital Learning Leader Academy. I hate just to talk and all the time. So if you have any thoughts or comments or questions, please drop them in the chat area. I'd love to kind of hear from you guys. Hopefully, you know, that has really kind of given you just an idea of how we offer so much more here on the Schoology team than just product training, that Schoology 101 piece that would fall into the emerging. You know, we really do offer a lot, and we partner with a lot of districts. And so what Ryan kind of mentioned and explained at the beginning can fit right into all the professional learning options that I've been mentioning here today. Okay, so I think I'm done with my piece. I'm going to pass it back over to you, Lucas, with this part.
All right, perfect, Gina, thank you. And you guys can see my screen, Gina, correct? I got the emerging and adopting back up.
Yes, I can see it.
All right, so we just went over that. I will be sending over in the follow-up information after this a slide deck, so you'll see some links at the bottom of these pages. It's what I've shown in the chat, but you'll also be able to do that. Click on that after. So, Gina, did you want to talk any of this?
I sure do. I love this slide, and I think it's really powerful to share with educators. Just because I mentioned, you've heard me talk about some of the ed research briefly, but this is some research from Joyce and Showers, very popular researchers in education. And I really like their research, because what you're going to see is if you just provide professional development focused on theory, you're going to see there in our table the impact on knowledge, skill, and practice, okay? But if you add different components to it, so if you add theory and modeling, well, if you look at the bottom, if you make sure you're providing PD to the educators in your district, that includes theory, modeling, practice, and coaching. So when I explained our academies and PD programs, I talked about how we go in and we model high quality instruction. And I didn't specifically point it out, but they'll participate in different blended learning models with us, and we will model things. we tie in that virtual coaching piece. And you can see the big differences, you know, just if all those components are built in the professional development and the impact it can have. It can have a 95% impact on knowledge, skills, and practice. So I think this is just really powerful research. And again, it just explains why we built our programs the way we do in the Academy, the PD program format.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Gina. I appreciate all that information. So to piggyback on everything that Gina just said in regards to the training, ongoing training, really giving your staff the resources they need to take advantage of Schoology and education products in general. Rashad and I put together some PD package recommendations. I'm going to go over these really quickly. I'm also going to include in the chat a survey link that has additional information on this, and if you'd like to learn anything on what Gina just covered, Rashad and I will follow up with you if you fill out that survey. So again, these packages are completely customizable and edit to your specific needs, but this is what we thought would be helpful as a good starting point. So in the good training package, we have 8 hours of professional development, which covers with this course catalog that I shared earlier. On the screen right now, we have some popular ones. Very much we see using the Google Schoology. We also have one for Microsoft with Schoology with so many Office 365 and G Suite users out there. It's very helpful. With that, we also have the rollover package. That is a great package as you're transitioning from one school year to the next. We help clean up your courses, your content, creating new terms, etc. Yes, these are all prices for enterprise users, correct? Just to answer that question, Beth. And so if you're new to Schoology within the last couple months, you don't need a rollover package because you're still going through implementation or you haven't set up the previous school year. The rollover is really good for any existing Schoology users, just to clarify that. Then going on to the better training package, again, those PD hours, we up that to 10 from 8. And then we also have the rollover. And then we also have the professional learning subscription. And PLS is that self-paced ongoing training that is available within Schoology for your teachers that you can use at any point throughout the school year, back to school refreshers, midsummer refreshers, winter, whatever you need. PLS is available within Schoology to deliver that content. So then going on to the last one, the best training package. Again, the same products from the previous. We up the PD to 12 hours. We have the rollover, and then we have the professional learning subscription. And last, we have the 5 KTO hours. So KTO hours are really customized hours that you can use with our support team, not as much on the training side, but more on the back end side. So if you're trying to set up maybe grade passback or integrations with an existing student information system you have, it being PowerSchool, Skyward, any of them that are out there, if we have an integration with them, we can help set that up through the KTO hours if that isn't already available. So again, these are just some quick packages Rashad and I put together. If you want any more information on this, please click on that link that I added for the form to fill out, and we'll get that sent over to you later this week or after this meeting. So I'll pass it over to Gina for one more slide too.
Okay, so one final thing, something brand new, hot off the press, I quickly wanted to share with you guys is we have a different division here at school, PowerSchool, called Proven Practices by PowerSchool. So this kind of ties it more into those Schoology continuing ed packages and academies I shared before. But the way this is built is that it's product agnostic, meaning that this provides high quality PD for any educator if they're using a PowerSchool product or not. But the nice thing is, even if you see sessions you like, we work for PowerSchool, we can tie it to Schoology or Performance Matters or things like that to the products. I'm just going to share one quick thing. Lucas, if you click on that Accelerated Learning Gains Academy,
yeah,
open that up and I'll just tell everybody quickly about that. So on this, there we go.
We'll give it one second.
Yeah, Ryan kind of mentioned when he was chatting earlier that, as educators, of course, a lot of us do not like when we hear learning loss. Okay, so that's not the way we're building a lot of our materials and offerings here at PowerSchool. And so this is something though that we're a new academy we're putting out there to really help educators with high quality teaching and instruction. And we're calling this the Accelerated Learning Gains Academy. And again, it is loading here on Lucas's end. So this includes 5 different sessions. So what you're going to notice from this document here is it's not going to talk about Schoology or Performance Matters, but again, we can tie it to any of the PowerSchool products. What it's really going to focus on, so session 1, clarify learning to promote student success. You'll see that's an on-site session, and session 2 is too. We really focus on what is quality teaching, okay? Where we focus a lot on the John Hattie's research and different, what does it look like? What components should we build in? Again, that we know have made an impact and are effective on student achievement. You're going to see like session 3 is a web session, and that gets into social emotional learning. So we focus on that. Session 4, planning for flipped instruction. We have that built in, and that's an asynchronous self-paced module. And session 5 is a web session talking about empowering independent learners. So again, it's a blended PD model, but it focuses again on high quality teaching and learning. Not necessarily, if your district, is using, again, Schoology or Performance Matters, we can tie it into that. And it looks like Lucas just dropped some documents in there for you. So, and we have what's called a proven practices catalog. I think Lucas dropped that in there. I won't pull it up just because of time, because I want to pass it back over to Lucas. But if you're interested at all, just to see more high quality professional learning, not necessarily tied to a PowerSchool product, but we can tie that in. Feel free to check that out.
Awesome. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So as I mentioned earlier, I put the link in. So if you're interested in getting any more information on what Gina just covered right there, or any of the PD, please fill out that form, and I'll include that in the follow-up as well. One other thing I'd just like to mention at the end of this, as we're about to wrap this up a few minutes early too for everybody, we do have what we refer to as our staff development suite, and that's using Schoology and our professional learning product through Unified Talent together. So in addition to being able to really collaborate and learn, that's going to be the Schoology aspect. Professional learning takes that one step further and helps you track and report, as well as manage some of that ongoing training. And sorry, that's something that you brought up earlier, and what I'll follow up with you on is really when you have the two together, you can do everything from the actual learning and the collaborating experience, in addition to from the admin perspective of managing and tracking that that learning through your staff. So a few more resources. Again, we'll get this over to you after, so you actually have the links. A lot of it's what Ryan shared too, and then Rashad and I's contact information on that. I'm east of the Mississippi, Rashad's west, and then if we have any international schools here, I cover the general Asia area and South America, and Rashad covers Europe and India. So with that being said, thank you everybody. Thank you, Gina,